gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for, my friend.
Oh, we've got all sorts of stuff. We'll get into some NFL news ahead of preseason week 2. We've got some NBA news, some WNBA news. We've got some Dodger talk, some baseball news. We've got our boy Michael Hopper joining us at 8 to run down our entertainment segment for the month. And we've got another pair of tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest. And I did save some of your info yesterday. So I don't know how you want to give away these crazy tickets today, but we've got them. Bakersfield Brunch Fest tickets are on sale now at BakersfieldBrunchFest.com, coming up Saturday, October 11th at the Kern County Fairgrounds. And if we have time, maybe we can get into the World's Humanoid Robot Games. The open ceremony is happening right now over my shoulder, and just beware if you're pro or anti-robots. For the next 3 or 4 days, you're going to see nothing but robots in these robotic games. I believe it's the first annual, but we'll run down some of those games. But if you have any questions or comments, especially with the Dodgers, text them in 661-842-2000 on the Early Bird Special.
Now, I say this as a nerd. I totally do. I'm a massive nerd. If you're watching on YouTube, you could tell. Glasses. I have a Spider-Man hat on as we speak. Huge nerd. But robotic games? Like, for those of you who are upset about robotic umpires in baseball, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Because personally, why? Like, all I'm thinking of is the jock in Revenge of the Nerds that's yelling, "Nerds!" That's it. All they're trying to do is just try to take sports. Or not take sports, but they're trying to move into sports with these robotics. I think it's cool to a point, but do we need a whole robotics games? I'm kind of skeptical. I really am. Absolutely. That's all I'm thinking. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. 661-842-2000, or drop it in the YouTube chat down below. We will read those as we go, but we have plenty to talk about in the world of football, including some quarterback news, some good news, some bad news, and a fight. We got to talk about the fight too. I totally forgot about that. But let's start with the bad news for you Cleveland Browns fans. Unfortunately, Shedeur Sanders injured once again with an oblique injury that took place during throwing practice. I believe it didn't happen during team play. He was carted off the field by fellow quarterback Jalen Hurts, who apparently has his own golf cart. I kept listening to all the shows about this yesterday because everybody had their fun about this. And I'm going to ask this question to you and our listeners. Should Jalen Hurts have his own practice cart?
I mean,
a golf cart that he takes around during practice. Should that be allowed? Personally, Super Bowl winning quarterback, I'd take your whatever you want, my guy.
Right?
And honestly, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in all of the league, although he doesn't get the flashy numbers. Pete Schrager made a very good point. I'm pretty sure Josh Allen doesn't get this treatment. But at the same time, Josh Allen hasn't won you a Super Bowl. Josh Allen hasn't been a part of arguably the best offense in football. And let's not pretend like Jalen doesn't have a hand in that. We give a lot of credit and a lot of woes to the quarterback position, whether it's good or bad, meaning the offense, whether they are good or bad. So I feel like Jalen should get some love for this. I love seeing him riding around in a cart. I think that's worthy.
You get
to be
the
honest
Super
with you.
Bowl. I mean, do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. And honestly, as long as he's happy and Saquon's happy and that offensive line is happy, I really don't care.
No.
I really don't care what it takes. He wants a jet plane, get him a jet plane. He wants a yacht, take mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want a Lambo and my wife? Sure, bud. Want to be a championship.
Just don't be driving around 100 miles per hour in a
Exactly.
60.
Yeah, just keep it within the speed limit, please.
But no, with this injury, which obviously there's a ton of quarterback injuries in Cleveland, but does this open up the opportunity now for somebody to step in?
I've been saying this since last week when we heard Shedeur was going to be the starter. Now, granted, Shedeur was going to be the starter last week because of injuries, Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett not available for the game. But I think if you're Cleveland, you would benefit from going this route. You gave Shedeur his shot as a starter and gave him a considerable amount of time. I think he looked solid. I think he looked good. Do the same thing for Dylan Gabriel. And do the same thing for Kenny Pickett in game 3. Assess all 3 quarterbacks separately, see what they could do against different defenses, and whomever you think did the best job is the one who gets the backup job. Because again, we're all at least considering Joe Flacco as the starter right now.
Which is funny is because he's the old guy,
right?
And he's the one that's staying healthy.
Right. And obviously, like we talked about the other day too, Deshaun Watson now back in the fold, although God only knows if Cleveland plans to keep him on the roster. I do expect him to be cut from this team when all things are cleared, to be honest with you.
But we talked about how crazy would it be if he comes in, steps in, and he looks like the Watson of past.
And would it really be out of the realm of possibility for Cleveland to pull a move like this? No. I mean, we've heard them talk about Kareem Hunt in the same, well, not in the same line, I shouldn't say that, but in the same kind of term, right? They're open to allowing second chances. They're a organization, quote unquote, that is open to second chances and being that team to allow for players to come in and have that opportunity with them. So maybe they do extend the olive branch to Deshaun and say, if you are finally done with this hoopla and you're healed finally, then maybe they do give him a shot at staying on the team. But to be honest with you, in my head, I don't think that's the case just because of the longevity of all of the problems that have been coming since they signed him and the money that they really haven't gotten any kind of production back from.
No.
So,
no. And Peter Schrager had this to say on the opportunity for Dylan Gabriel.
I thought Friday night was sublime. I thought he was fantastic. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm texting with some sources around the team. They're like, no, he showed signs of progress. And then we get the depth chart and he was 4th anyway. It seriously impacts any long shot chance he had of being QB1, not being available for these practices. Meanwhile, it's next man up. And Dylan Gabriel was healthy. Dylan Gabriel was thrown, and he's going to get his opportunity in this preseason game, which is a week 2 preseason game against the Eagles, which might not feel significant at all. But if you've got your 2 veteran quarterbacks, one of them unavailable, one of them likely not going to play, and then you got your 2 rookie quarterbacks, it's a real opportunity for, in the same field, against the same defense, against the same stacked odds, Shedeur to outshine Dylan Gabriel. Well, over the 2-day period, it looks like Dylan Gabriel is going to get that opportunity and not Shedeur.
And that's what preseason is about.
Honestly, I think that this is the best opportunity for Dylan Gabriel, not only to show what he has to the Browns, but to the rest of the league. Because if you're Dylan Gabriel, unfortunately, although the 3rd round pick in this situation to a 5th rounder in Shedeur is the one that has all the momentum. He has all the media hype around him, and everything swings whichever way his play dictates, right? Dylan has kind of been the one that's been lost in all of this. He's the one that not a lot of people are talking about. He has the ability and the arm strength to be a starting quarterback, but can he really lead a team? And, well, does his size literally hinder him from being able to call plays against defenses, be able to see everything he needs to see? I think the height thing is all hogwash. I think we've seen plenty of short quarterbacks that have been fantastic, Drew Brees and Russell Wilson being the 2 main options there. But if Dylan comes out and balls and he looks great against the Eagles, although Schrager's right, this really doesn't mean anything in terms of, oh, can this guy really be a game changer for us? But it does mean he looks pretty good if he doesn't get any nod for Cleveland.
I was going to say, is he playing for his future, really?
Not
like
for
to show some
future.
tape that maybe some other teams, quarterback needy teams, might want to open up maybe some trade talks?
That is more what I think it is.
Yeah.
Is he's more playing for a job for somebody else if this does end up going the route that I think the media and everybody's kind of expecting it to,
Mhm.
which is Shedeur Sanders becoming the starting quarterback at some point in Cleveland, which means you as Dylan Gabriel are kind of left out, right? And again, I know I've made this comparison a couple times, but it calls back to the Washington Commanders when they had RG3 and Kirk Cousins, a first rounder against a third rounder. And Kirk Cousins was the man left out. No one was really talking about him, but although in preseason he looked pretty good, RG3 goes throughout the regular season, then gets injured at the end. Kirk has to step up, and then Washington realizes, oh, wow,
He's
we've
good.
actually had our starting guy this entire time.
Mhm.
Does Dylan really want to go through that kind of a career, or would he rather sit there and say, you know what, I know I can compete against guys out there in the league, like say Miami, if Quinn Ewers doesn't work out and this entire thing with Tua and Zach Wilson is kind of a stalemate like the Giants have, or maybe even he goes to a team like the Jets, like if Justin Fields doesn't end up working out, and
That's
they're
one of the
thinking,
teams I was thinking, because Tyrod's hurt.
yes,
Maybe the
exactly,
Steelers, their backup's hurt.
exactly.
There's plenty of teams, New Orleans, there's tons of teams that could go. I mean, the guy is a third rounder.
Mhm.
And I think it's just so crazy in Cleveland style to, be able to get Dylan and still get Shedeur late. They opened up many doors, but I mean, how quick, obviously, with the name and what we've seen out of Shedeur, you think it's that quick he leapfrogs Dylan?
Yeah, probably, because again, he has
Just the situation.
he has grasp of all the momentum.
Mhm.
When it comes to media presence and stuff like that, it really does make a difference. I don't think a lot of people really think about that, but how the media presents your team and how they talk about your team and who they talk about is a huge portion of this. And for those of you who also are curious why Shedeur fell, there are a lot of reasons why Shedeur Sanders fell in the draft of the 5th round. One of them being financial as well. He has a clause inside of his contract, it's the first ever for a rookie, that pretty much makes him a partner to the team rather than just a player. Ergo, he gets a percentage of everything that has his name on it, that he is connected to, all the slogans, all of that. He gets a certain percentage from the team within his contract. You can look it up. I think it's called a prime equity clause or something of
Of
that
course, it
nature.
says prime.
It's something of that nature. I don't know if it's prime. I might be
Yeah,
wrong on that.
I get it. I've seen it.
It's one of those situations where you also now have stake within this kid as a partner, not just a player. So that automatically, I feel, gives him, I wouldn't say an unfair advantage, but at least the ownership is now sitting here hoping and praying that this kid becomes a stud. Because if he does and becomes a superstar in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns, we could be looking at a player, maybe not skill wise on the same level, but face and presence in the media wise, same level as Tom Brady or Peyton Manning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, besides Aaron Rodgers, we've been talking nothing but Shedeur this offseason.
And that is not going to just end because he has a good rookie season. Or like if he comes out, balls out, and becomes the starting quarterback in Cleveland, which I think, again, the ownership and a lot of people hope he will, because there are multiple factors within this that lead that way. And unfortunately for guys like Dylan Gabriel, that means you're kind of out of a job unless this guy gets hurt, right? So yeah, I think coming into this game against the Eagles, I think this really is a great opportunity for Dylan Gabriel, who was a Heisman nod like a couple years ago. He wasn't a finalist, but he was one that they had their eye on for a long time in Oregon. He could potentially find himself at least a consideration with some other team that is quarterback needy if he looks good in this game.
I'd take him. He's a lefty.
Honestly, I would too. And he's got skill. There are some question marks, don't get me wrong, but who doesn't have question marks? If you're really sitting there as the New Orleans Saints, are you okay with sitting there saying Tyler Shuck is our answer for the year?
I actually heard an interview with the Saints coach yesterday, and he was just sold that this guy is the future of the Saints, even if it's short term.
That's all fine. If that is what they believe, then that's fine. But I still say other guys like Dylan Gabriel should be getting a nod as well. Because if you're going to sit there and tell me that Shuck has more ability than Gabriel does, I'm going to call shenanigans. I'm sorry. I really am.
We'll take our first break. We'll get into some other NFL news. Feel free to call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000. We are the Early Bird Special.
Welcome back. This is the early bird special. I didn't know Lionel Taylor died. Yeah, died last week. Yeah, ESPN's reporting that Lionel Taylor, Broncos legend, first receiver ever with 100 catches in NFL or AFL history, passed away at 89 on August 6th. His family confirmed. Man, that sucks. For those of you, he was, I believe, the first African American coach to become a coordinator as well. He was a coordinator for the Rams in the 80s. I mean, when a legend like this passes, do we know what he died of? Has there been anything on that? I just know that he passed away last week.
That's all it says.
Well, 89 though, that's a good run. That's a dang good run, especially for a football player. And this is a guy who wasn't drafted in 58 and then was eventually brought in by the Bears to the NFL in 59 as a linebacker before he became a wide receiver for the Broncos the next year. And
When he retired, he was the franchise's all-time leader. I mean, not only in receptions, but receiving yards and touchdowns.
Was the only receiver to have 100 receptions in a season for, I think, like 39 years before 2000 when it was broken finally.
But 89, that's a long run.
That's a dang good run. Would you be happy with 89?
Hell yeah.
I'd be happy with 89. I don't want to put a number on it. I don't want to put a stamp on it or anything. But like when you really sit there and think about it, I'm like, you know what? 89 is a good number. 90.
I'll take
it. I'll take that in the run,
yes,
baby. Especially with the way things happen these days.
But I want to be Frozen. So
do you really? You want to go? You want to go Disney route?
I want to go Demolition Man.
You work for the right company. I can tell you that right now. Talking about serious health concerns, though, we mentioned this at the end of the show yesterday when it was broken, but I've gotten to read in on this a little bit, and I now have to watch this Netflix documentary, which I'm going to get to in a second. I believe that's the whole point to this. But if you haven't heard, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has talked about this in the 5th episode of this series that's coming out, America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys. Jerry apparently had stage 4 melanoma he was diagnosed back in 2010 and went through trials on an experimental drug that is now, he claims, saved his life, and he's now tumor free. It is a protein based trial, I guess. I can't exactly explain it. I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to go into medical jargon because I really don't understand it my dang self, but experimental treatment that's turned around his life. And now, I mean, he seems to be healthy. He seems to be healthier. But as we've said in the last couple of months, he seems to be getting a little bit more ornery. I don't know if that has something to do with this.
It comes with the age. How old is he?
I think he's 82.
Well, he's underwent 2 lung surgeries and 2 lymph node surgeries while seeking treatment. And
don't get me wrong, the big C is scary.
Yes.
And that is the last thing I want anyone to have to hear or go through. I had my grandmother die of breast cancer. It is not something that's positive at all. But now I'm just curious because this entire situation with him going through these treatments now for 15 years, and he's beaten stage 4 melanoma. That means that the cancer has spread to other areas of his body, probably all around his body. Usually stage 4 is the death sentence.
Yeah, that's usually on your way out.
So if this is something that can be used in other people's trials to potentially save them from this as well, I think this is a positive step forward. But do you feel like this is going to get Jerry back into that mindset of I need to win now? Because and my point as well to all of this, the only reason we're hearing about this is to pump up this dang thing.
Yeah, last week he did some more on his media tour, was talking about, he came out and said, dude, of course I say things to get, Dallas, the Cowboys, the star in the media. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And
this
Jerry's
is no
Jerry.
secret.
So, I mean, congratulations on beating the big C. But yeah, of course, he's going to say anything to promote it. And I had no idea this was coming up until yesterday when the story broke. And I believe it's coming out either today or Tuesday. I saw the pop-up on Netflix last night, but I didn't watch the first one. Is this the one that they talked with the cheerleaders?
I believe
America's
so.
Team?
Yeah. Or it's I think the new season of that
Spin-off
or
or
something, or a
something.
continuation.
Because
of
we
it, but
talked
yeah.
about that series earlier when we found out how low the cheerleaders actually are on the totem pole.
That
So
was ridiculous. The amount of money that these women were making is less than we are.
and you think, you're a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. That's like the top of the
staple.
cheerleading world. Yeah.
Growing up, literally the only cheerleaders I knew about were the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and the Raiderettes.
And the Laker girls.
The Laker girls. Yeah, that's fair too. But
And I didn't know about that until it was Paul Abdul, but
and that's what I'm saying. Like, there is really a staple in cheerleading. If there's any professional cheerleading outside of the competitions, I know there's competitions and those are awesome.
It's the Dallas Cowboys.
But yeah, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely. It's being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Like, so that's why I was shocked as well about how much they got paid. But this entire story is coming out because Jerry, once again, trying to get his name and everybody else's name. And now let's think, like, who's not going to go watch this series on Netflix now? Let's be honest. I'm going to, and I'm not even a Dallas fan.
I'm on the fence.
I'll
I'll
probably watch it, but honestly, I was kind of leaning towards watching it anyway, just because of the outstanding docuseries that we've got in the last couple of months.
These documentaries are,
I mean, WWE
so good.
Unreal, the SEC documentary.
I need to watch
that
one. That one's next.
So good.
And then I haven't watched Hard Knocks. I'm not going to watch Hard Knocks this year, but I did see, they announced it yesterday or the day before the in-season one. Could be the Jets this year. Nobody cares about the Jets.
Well,
I don't care about
Shauna
the Jets.
cares about the Jets.
She likes the Buckeyes, so she's like anything with Justin Fields. But going back to that,
and who knows? Maybe at that point, Dylan Gabriel might be
I
the
was
starting
just gonna
quarterback.
say that he might be.
I mean, who
He might
knows?
be.
Maybe
They're
they'll have a
dealing with some
storyline over
injuries.
there.
But yeah, Micah came out yesterday saying he's hushed now.
Yeah,
He's not saying a thing. My mouth is closed, is what he said multiple times. And that might be the best route, especially when you're dealing with Jerry and the Dallas Cowboys. It's probably smart to just keep your mouth shut.
Jerry's going to talk enough for both of you.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be that big of a deal. Plus, I think this is more of mouth shut in frustration.
Yes.
Not necessarily mouth shut in, I'm just going to be a good player and just sit here, because I think he's got plenty to say, but I think it's like the age-old adage, silence is much louder.
So our boy Evan was talking about it this morning. It's something that he might be right on the dot with this, but he thinks that Dallas made their offer. They thought they had the handshake earlier,
and
he doesn't think it's moving.
No, it's not at all what they wanted, and they probably sent a rebuttal, and neither of them want the rebuttal.
And they said get to the point that next year and the year after they are able to franchise him like they did with Dak. Hopefully it doesn't go to that point, but
could we see a Barry Sanders situation
where he just retires?
Yeah, he just ends up saying, you know what, then I'm done. If I don't play for anybody else, I don't want to play in the NFL. I don't think it would get that far.
Hopefully not, but I mean, he's got a future. He's got, a huge podcast. He's got, the following.
Jerry, although an old school guy, I don't think he would hold out on Micah like that. I really don't. I think that they'll probably find a middle ground here and get something signed, probably make him the highest paid non-quarterback player in the NFL, as we all expect him to be. But like I said, his silence speaks louder than anything. And this entire miscommunication when it comes to the contract is easily fixable. So if you aren't willing to have said conversations, then I think that's kind of where we are in the conversation, right? Or at least in the negotiations. Because you're right. From everything we've heard, Jerry at least thought that the deal was done and we had a handshake deal. But like I said a couple weeks ago, that's not really how modern society works anymore, Jerry.
2025, my brother.
You can't have that. And it's because there's been so many players that have been screwed over by organizations who take handshake deals. I mean, and I don't mean to throw them under the bus like they're doing this currently, but let's take the Cam Hayward situation because we have more information on that now. Cam has come out and said last year when he signed this new deal, which he really didn't sign anything. It was just more of a contract restructuring so they could fix some stuff.
Clear up some cap space.
He had a conversation with ownership that he planned to be an all-pro player. And when he would like to come back and reestablish these negotiations.
I want my bump.
They laughed. They snickered.
Really?
And what happened? Cam Hayward went out in all pro in a very late part of his career, something no one saw coming. He's a fantastic defensive tackle. And now he waited for TJ to get his, like a good teammate, and said, now it's my turn. And now I don't blame him at all. Because, like we've said, does loyalty really matter to these organizations? Harry Douglas has a promo going right now about it.
Why is everybody backing the owners, not the players?
Do these owners and organizations really care about you or the players?
Nope.
No, they care about their wallet. But you know who does care about the fans? The players do.
The players, of course.
So maybe instead of the media running around and saying Cam Hayward is just holding in, maybe we should highlight a little bit more of what the ownership of the Pittsburgh Steelers have been doing. Because again, Cincinnati, I can go around the entire league. This is going on all over the place. So you can't exactly expect these players like Shamar Stewart, Cam Hayward, all these guys or Micah Parsons to take handshake deals with you and say, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I believe you, sir. Sure.
It's in the paperwork.
No, that's not the reality we live in anymore. It's just not. Get what you believe you are owed. That's what everybody works with.
Well, you said Shamar, and it reminded me of a story that came out yesterday. We'll talk about some miscellaneous NFL news. We'll get into some baseball right after this break. We are the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. I don't think I've ever heard this one. I was expecting who let the dogs out.
You hear James Dixon?
I don't know if I have. Or at least it's not drawn. It's not come up in my memory bank right now. So. Yeah, no, it's new. Oh, this is the early bird special though. That's Sparky. We had another fight at practice. This time it's my Falcons, and honestly, I have no problem with this whatsoever. I don't.
I thought you were going to talk about the Bengals one.
I mean, we can. There's fights all over.
What
the
happened
place.
with Penix?
Altercation. That's all it is, man. There is some John on the field, and I think it had something to do with the Tennessee Titans throwing some shots at Michael Penix being a sophomore quarterback, and statistically, or at least the league has him towards the bottom 20, which I find to be a little ridiculous. But again, I believe in the sophomore slump, so I understand why he's low.
He was one of our sleepers.
He is one of my, yeah, I'm just saying. But I like this. I said this when we talked about it last week. Are we cool with players getting fights at practice? 110%, especially when it's against the other team. Now, it's when it's within your own team, there's a little bit of a problem there, but you love to see the tenacity and you love to see the just willingness to fight,
The competitiveness.
and competitive nature to win a spot. I totally get that. But when it's against the other team, I'm all for it. Let's go. Box.
I mean, last week it was my Dolphins fighting with themselves. And as I read more into it, it was more of, our captain, our linebacker wanting more attitude out of our
100%.
defense. So I was happy with it once I read it into it. Of course, social media is like the Dolphins are, are trash and dysfunctional, and McDaniel's got to go. And once I heard the audio afterwards, and it seemed to be more of they were getting popped all day at camp, and Dodson was like, no, dude. And one of the other linebackers have softly tackled one of the guys, and he's like, no, dude, you popped this guy, give him some attitude. But no, I brought up the Shamar Stewart because I guess yesterday he ran into Burrow, and the offensive line wasn't too happy with that. So there was some fists thrown at practice through the rookie and the offensive lineman. They're like, no, dude, you don't touch Burrow. That's our guy.
Yeah, I missed that one. I did not realize that they got into a fight over there over that. But that's a big no-no, especially since you've been holding out. You've been this big old distraction without even stepping foot on this field yet. And now you're hitting our quarterback, who, let's be honest, as much as I love Joe Burrow, he gets hurt in the preseason.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he has history of not starting the season.
Gave him a little shoulder, and it was it wasn't.
Was it rough
happy.
though? Like, was it one of those?
I don't think so. Shamar said it. He was just running full speed and gave him a shoulder, which he probably could have not done
that
exactly. But going into the Aaron Donald story, we talked about a couple months ago when we talked about creepy fanatic fans that are, whether it's stalker, which I saw a video of Rhea Ripley talking about when she was in Australia last year.
Dude,
somebody had shown up at her house.
She probably deals with it more than anybody.
And she said she checked the ring bell, and this creeper was eyeballs into her ring.
Oh God.
And she said it gets creepy, and she said, I just want to be a regular person. I'll go out to the events, we'll sign, we'll take pictures and all of that. That's all good. That's part of the business.
Yeah.
But this one with Aaron Donald, I mean, we talked about it a couple months ago when this lady was telling people she was married to Aaron Donald, that she was filing for divorce. She wanted a payout.
Threatening the life of his kids.
Exactly. So yesterday he was granted a 5-year restraining order by the LA County judge to protect himself, his family, and the court ordered terms require the woman identified as Janelle Auer is to stay at least 100 yards away from Donald, his wife, their 4 children, his brother, and their homes, schools, vehicles, and workplaces.
It's not far enough.
Right.
And honestly, I hate saying this, but I echo the sentiments of our own Ralph Bailey here at AGM. Unfortunately, these are just pieces of paper. They really are. Like, that's the one thing I hate about restraining orders. They don't do much. We're talking about people that are usually mentally unwell, mentally just that they don't comprehend why what they're doing isn't okay. And you need to do something a little bit more to make sure that there's no connection between these situations.
Yes, you
Because
should get some medical treatment.
when you're threatening people's lives, let alone children, no.
I mean, if she thinks she's married to this guy,
You need to go to
what do you
jail.
think a piece of paper is going to do?
Exactly. It's like, you need to go to jail. I know you have to wait for them to break the contract and all that type of stuff in order for them to actually be arrested. I get the legal way that this works, but I don't know. I find it a little ridiculous that we think that a restraining order is good enough for anything like this.
Anything.
Like, no, if it's that bad where you have to get a restraining order, you need to remove one of the two parties, in my opinion, much like we do with children. When two kids are fighting, you don't put one in timeout and let the other one play with the toy, do you? No, usually both of them go in timeout, or at least they should.
You would think.
So,
But a restraining order from,
remove the situation.
I don't know what else they could do except putting this person in some medical treatment or a medical hospital, get them tested, and find out what is really going on, or if they're just a crazy fan.
Yeah, you don't give the kid a piece of paper that says you can't play with this toy anymore, and expect him to understand and walk away from the toy.
Like we didn't do that when our parents walked away, and we're like, okay,
remove the situation.
And Cam Little, we talked about his 70-yard field goal. Well, yesterday he sent his jersey and his game-worn cleats into Canton.
Can we start a uprise right now? A hashtag give him the record. Hashtag give him the record. 70-yard field goal, regardless if it was preseason or not. You deserve the dang record. And now you're asking for his jersey and all that stuff. Why not give him the record?
What is it going to say in parentheses? Would be a record.
Yeah, would have been a record had it been in the regular season. God, I hate that. I hate that so much. I get it. Don't get me wrong. It's not regular play. But when it comes to kickers, is it really that much different? Like, not really, right? You're not exactly going up against stuff that you wouldn't be going up against in the regular season. So why are we not qualifying this? And I really don't get why you can't qualify this as the record for longest field goal.
Let's call it a preseason record. Is that what it is, or what?
Well, you don't want to say preseason record because then you can't get rid of preseason, right?
Yeah.
That once you establish that preseason is part of football and you have preseason games, it's harder to let it go.
And it's just like, we talked about it in other sports where, you extend the season into, an extra game or two.
Right.
Then other records start getting broken because it was an in-season record, and then you're going to have like a asterisk. Well, this was a 18-game schedule. The game is going to evolve. I give the guy credit. My thing is can he do it in a real game? Let's see it, because I'm sure this kid wants to break the record in real.
But see, that's my point, is that what in that situation was different than what a real game would have been?
He's a Jaguar, so I'm sure he'll have several opportunities to break the record this year.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And I don't know. I'm just in the camp of, like, when it comes to kickers, at least. When everybody else, I totally understand, because a quarterback throwing a 90-yard touchdown against a team is different in the preseason than it is in regular season. That I understand. But when it comes to kickers kicking a field goal, it's the exact same thing. The only thing different would probably be the weather. That's the only difference that I can honestly see, because I don't see teams not throwing out their special teams groups during these games. So I don't see why you can't just qualify this as the longest field goal.
When it comes to special teams, it should be in there.
Yeah. But again,
luckily for him, I'm sure he'll have several other chances. And OBJ, to wrap up some NFL news, OBJ was somebody had posted last week that he had officially retired, and it was a fake account. He came out yesterday, said he is planning on playing this season. Thank God it's not with the Dolphins, but he has been talking with the Giants, and his agent came out and said there are several teams looking to get his services. I just walk away.
Well, again, several can be
it's a reach.
3, 4, 5, and I'm sure there are. To be honest with you, there are plenty of wide receiver rooms right now that are very bare. So I would not be shocked at all if people are calling for Odell. I personally think he would fit best going back to New York. I think that him playing with Malik Neighbors, Russell Wilson, potentially Jackson Dart at some point during the season, not only would be a great look for him going back to New York playing as number 13 again and just reestablishing his legacy where it truly was born and has stayed, if I'm being honest, because every other team he's played for, I mean, I know he's got the Super Bowl with the Rams, but it wasn't necessarily because of him. Like when he was on the Giants, he was the draw, he was the guy.
I'd love to
And
see him with Neighbors.
I think him and Neighbors would be a great 1-2 for the Giants, who are desperately looking for some sort of answer for Brian Dable to keep his job as the head coach.
I'm glad you said that. Do you think this McDermott hot seat thing is real?
Oh, for the Buffalo Bills,
Yeah.
I think there's some validity to it,
Yeah.
because there is only a certain amount of time that organizations will allow you to stay in the same spot. You know what I mean? Mike Tomlin has the ability to say that he can stay consistent because, one, he is always a positive winning coach, and two, he's won a Super Bowl. McDermott doesn't have that luxury, and to keep hitting the same wall over and over and over, whether it be Baltimore or Kansas City or
yeah.
Cincinnati,
Mhm.
whomever, and not being able to bust through that into the promised land of the Super Bowl that you have been really hoping he could. And you're already losing the pieces of the team that honestly was probably the best chance you had at that, right?
Yeah.
A couple years ago. So yeah, I think at least we're trending that way. I don't know if
Yeah, I was
he
just
gets
wondering
fired
because I
this
know
year.
it's been a big topic.
Yeah, it's
And I was
definitely
like-
a talking point. I don't know if it happens this season if
Yeah.
they don't make it,
Depending on how they look.
but if he doesn't make it again this season, he is definitely on the hot seat for next year.
Well, we'll take our final break of the hour. We got our boy Hop talking entertainment at the top of the hour. 8 o'clock, he'll join us. We'll talk about Fantastic Four, weapons, what he's watching, what he's looking forward to. I know the Nobody sequel is coming out Friday. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Just I love Bob, so we'll get into that and much more. Text in anytime, 661-842-2000. We are the Early Bird Special.
Oh Lord.
And for all you Chiefs fans, Schefter just reported Rashee Rice will have his hearing September 30th, which means he'll be available for at least the first 4 weeks of the season. If you're looking at Rashee Rice in your fantasy or you're a Chiefs fan, you'll have him for the first month. I would expect him probably a 4 to 6 week, 4 to 6 game suspension. You think? Maybe less?
Probably. Maybe. Nah, 4 to 6 sounds about right, unless they can somehow spin it and peel it down to 2. But this means that he will be available to play against the Chargers in Brazil, the Eagles, at the Giants, and the Ravens before any kind of penalty is passed down for this mid or multi-car collision that he was a part of in Dallas back in 24. I can hear the haters already. And I'm not even saying that I'm not with you on this. I kind of find this to be a little dumb, to be honest. Anybody else would be slapped with the suspension right away and told deal with it. But everybody on the internet is going to be blowing up today saying, of course they are. It's the Chiefs.
It was the Chiefs.
They're trying to help the Chiefs again. It's because of Taylor Swift and her album. And her album came out on the podcast yesterday. And I'm like, my God. There's a reason we didn't pull that audio, by the way. Everybody's seen and heard it enough. And she made the funniest joke of the entire podcast, which was, nobody wants to see more of her on their television.
They get enough of her.
They get enough.
Me.
Yeah. Sports fans. She made a joke saying, the one thing that male sports fans want to see on their stuff more is me. And I'm, clearly being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I'm like, thank God she's at least self-aware.
Dude, I don't know why everyone hates on.
I don't hate on her as a person. I just, her music's
like
just
awesome person.
Yeah. And honestly, I said this on the show on Ralph Bailey's the other day. At first, when they dropped this promo and they're showing the whole flirting back and forth with him, like, oh yeah, color of your eyes, honey. Like, to me, that was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was incredibly uncomfortable. And not necessarily like I'm uncomfortable, but like I'm uncomfortable for you, dude. Like, that seemed so forced.
Awkward, yep.
I was like, I need to watch the whole episode. I haven't been able to watch it yet.
I watched it yesterday.
Did you?
She's hilarious, dude.
Okay, good.
I love that chick, but not only I love her music as well, so call me whatever you want. But
it is what it is.
call me a Swiftie or
for you. It's not for me. I'm not somebody.
I like
that
all
goes
music unless bro country. That's where I draw the line. But hearing her knowing nothing about football when they met, and then talking about like cover 2, cover 0 defenses and how excited she was. And she had to call Travis to tell him when they traded up and drafted Xavier Worthy, which they traded with the Dolphins. But
dude, she just seems like a really good girlfriend.
Yeah, she just seems like a cool girl.
She really does. She seems like a really cool girlfriend that's just into what her boyfriend does. And at the end of the day, that's what all of you wish your wife would do with you on a Sunday, isn't it? It's just sit there and watch your team play and just be mad or happy with you. That's
the
all
one
you
that
want.
looked like she was overlooked was Mahomes' old lady.
She is starting to get pushed down.
Because she's like
the internet doesn't like her.
That quarterback show came out and everyone loved her for a minute. And then now it seems like everybody's kind of turned on her.
Now the internet turned on her very quickly. Very quickly. She became the joke of their entire relationship, which sucks. Because I mean, she's a partial owner of a soccer team, I believe. She was a former soccer athlete in college. She seems like a pretty normal person as well. I just think the internet likes to pick favorites. Because I mean, look at Haley Steinfeld too with Josh Allen. I mean, when that video came out with Sinners, and she had to say 3 nice things about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm like,
what'd she say?
Oh, she just said they look good in red. They're very loud and they're devout fans. Like, it's clearly a girlfriend saying, I can't say anything nice about these people because my boyfriend is their rival and they all hate me.
Of course.
And it's like, that's what I'm expecting to see all of Hard Knocks is how is she going to get brought into this? Because if you don't think the NFL is trying to dabble into all of these areas, the Haley Steinfelds, the Taylor Swifts, the Simone Biles, whose boyfriend also plays in the NFL, they're trying to pull in female viewers, guys.
They're doing a great job.
They are, and they're picking the right people. Not to say that they set up any of these relationships, but they're benefiting from them, right? And they know how to. They are the best marketing organization there is on the planet. And I'm just waiting for the moment we see Haley in this entire thing. I know they showed her in episode 1 with the whole pictures from the wedding and stuff like that. But if you don't think Haley Steinfeld is going to pop up on this show at least once and talk, you are crazy.
That reminds me, I need to finish the quarterback season 2. Are they doing a receiving one again? Or are they just?
I hear they're making a tight ends.
Of course.
To be honest with you, which I think would be the more entertaining one. Let's follow George Kittle around. He was great during
he's
wide
hilarious.
receivers. But I'm sure they'll make one for every position because we talked about it back on the podcast days. What position would we prefer to see? I still stand by. I think corners.
Yeah,
I think cornerbacks
Linebackers.
would be the best. I mean, the way they talk, the way they just
the offensive linemen.
Yeah, the
crap that they get.
The verbal jabs between each other is great. I think it'd be fun. I really do.
I also want to see, was it the SCC or SEC
Yes,
special? I haven't started that one yet.
Any given Saturday, I finished it over the weekend. It was fantastic. If you're a college football fan, I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a fan of a team from the SEC, watch it because it really does give you a firsthand look at what it's like in college football, especially in the South, which is a completely different animal. It really is.
Oh, trust me. I lived in right in Texas for a couple years when I worked in oil.
Right.
And dude, Walmart closes on Fridays for high school football. I'm like, what the hell?
No, the cities literally shut down. You know what it reminded me a lot of, which I miss for those millennials out there who watched it with me? Two-A-Days. The MTV show that came out about Hoover High. It really does kind of give you the same feel. And it's very, very well done. And it really just makes you want to be a fan of Southern football. But we got to take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk more entertainment. Plenty of movies to talk about. Weapons, Fantastic Four, Superman. We'll get to all of it right here on the Early Bird Special. 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early Bird Special, Hour 2 here on this Thursday, 14th day of August. And we got to talk a little entertainment because there's been plenty of movies that have been coming out and they have been fantastic.
Before we do that, if you'd like to win some tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest, just text in the best movie you've seen this year so far, 661-842-2000, and we'll throw hours out at the end of this segment with the beautiful, the smart, the intelligent, the Michael Hopper.
Best movie I've seen so far this year, made like 5 cents at the movie theater, and that was Eddington.
Really?
Yeah.
Eddington.
Yeah.
Which one?
I always have a
Eddington.
list with Hop.
That was Ari Aster's new film, and it was with Pedro Pascal and Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, the
and
one
it
that's
was about the little town in New
Right,
Mexico
right.
that goes wild during COVID because half the town is split, and everybody's reading stuff on the internet. And
I didn't realize that
people-
was based on a true story.
No, it's not based on a true
okay.
story. It's just it's a completely made up story, made up
Okay.
little town. But it's
like you say New Mexico,
set-
stuff like that. I am automatically
it's
think, oh, is this
set
based
in-
on a real thing?
It's set in a fictional little town of Eddington, New Mexico. But the
Okay.
whole thing is you'll recognize everything that happens in that movie, except it's on steroids. You know what I mean? So
Is it streaming yet? Or do
I
have
don't
to
think so.
buy it
I don't
on,
think so. I haven't seen it because
Vudu?
I'm looking forward to watching it again. I really enjoyed it the first time.
That's been
And
my
that's
issue.
that's not to disparage any of the other films that are out this year. But
My
I'd say that
issue's
was the best
been
one.
getting them on Vudu or Vudu Fandango, whatever the hell it's called
Yeah.
now. But I'll get really pumped to see a movie. I'll buy it. We'll watch it as a family, and then the next week it's streaming. I'm like,
Yeah, then I make you mad.
Idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
but my favorite's got to be either Fantastic Four or Sinners. Sinners was a really good movie. I like
Sinners
that.
was a very good movie.
Sinners is mine, but that's only because I haven't seen Fantastic
But-
Four yet.
We had you on right after Superman, but I believe Burdick's going to try to watch it tonight.
Oh no, I've seen Superman.
Okay.
I've seen Superman.
What'd
you
I
think?
haven't seen
And?
Fantastic Four. I thought it was fantastic. I don't get the whole woke thing. I really don't understand everyone's
No.
hate around it.
That woke thing was just
That's
it-
people trying to grasp at something that really wasn't there.
Yeah,
in my
because there
opinion.
was nothing out of ordinary
No.
or suspicious about that movie. It was just a good 1970s Superman comic movie.
I do
is
have
what it
3
was.
major gripes against it though.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we are.
I know. I'm sorry. I
Here
have
we
to
go.
have something to nitpick. 1, Ma and Pa way too old. Way too old. We're talking about grandma and grandpa, like way too old. I'm sorry, like, or at least
They
their
were-
demeanor was.
You mean they were older than like Glenn Ford and that old lady in the very first
No,
Superman movie?
Fair,
You said-
fair. I'm
This
just
is
saying,
ageism, bro. They were old country people, man.
they-
I'm so glad that Hollywood didn't take the route of everything. Look, I love Marissa Tomei, but
Hell
she's
yeah.
never going to be a real Aunt May,
No.
right? Because
but
your whole thing is you don't want to take Aunt May out. And the same thing. I don't want that feeling about Ma Kent
no,
being
that's
played
fair,
by
but
Diane Ladd.
also
You know what I
don't
mean?
want
I
Ma
don't want
Kent
that.
looking like she's about to keel over.
What,
though.
what, looking like an average mother from the Midwest, like
No,
an
I
average
did
grandma
love.
kind of.
I did love the accents. The accents were perfect. And I was like, finally, somebody with a Kansas accent.
And that dude that
but-
played Pa Kent was he's been in a billion things. He's been in a million movies, and he had that little tiny part. And he always plays like really crazy guys. He was the real crazy guy in Identity. If you remember that movie, he was the dude that was actually strapped to the chair, and John Cusack was phasing in and out of reality. That was him. And he's been in tons of movies like that. He was in one episode of The Walking Dead where Shane lets him get eaten by zombies. And so
Naturally.
anyway, you know, it's I thought it was a good thing. What's your third
Okay,
thing you thought?
I'm
was
sorry.
wrong?
No, my second gripe is Jimmy Olsen is a ladies' man. Like, I get having informants and stuff like that give you info and stuff on the inside. That's a journalism thing. But am I really gonna believe that Jimmy Olsen, the dweeby kid photographer,
Hey,
is the
Steven
one?
Sparky, he's not really dating much right now, is he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
Look,
either, man.
Would you guys
Look, my
calm down? I'm dating
as a comic book fan, my issue with Jimmy Olsen in that movie, it's not a big issue, but he was a better star reporter than Lois Lane, who was supposed to be the star reporter of the
Yeah,
Daily Planet.
fair.
You know what I mean? And that kind of threw me off a little bit. I mean, you have Lois Lane, but it's
That's
Jimmy
my point,
Olsen
is
that's doing
that
the
he's-
snooping. You know what I mean? And it was supposed to be the opposite,
Yeah.
but it's a new version of Superman, so I kind of let it go. But here you're talking about his dating life.
No. I wasn't expecting that. I was really Jimmy Olsen, who I'm just used to being the dweeby kid that follows around Lois, is now somehow the talk of the town, is more of a a draw than Bruce Wayne. Like, that is ridiculous to me. He's got women swooning.
Where was Bruce Wayne in that movie?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant he's more of a
He's a
playboy
kid, man. I mean, and he works for a nice newspaper. He's got a good job, man.
Good
You know,
job. What's the third one?
And what's your other complaint?
The other complaint's not necessarily a complaint. It is just more of what I noticed. But Superman really does get his butt kicked in the vast majority of this movie.
Yeah,
like,
he's not the invincible Superman that we have seen in the past. He's more of a Superman that's more of akin to when Superman, like when you see the old comic or the old, comics or the old movie serials, that dude didn't even fly. He jumped everywhere. That was how Superman got around. And it wasn't until he was able to sustain that flight that suddenly became a thing. And this is, giving Superman some vulnerabilities, I think, is important, not just to him normally he's either vulnerable when he's in love with Lois Lane, or he's vulnerable when he somehow gets his powers nullified. Been there, done that. Now we have a Superman who's good. He's a good Superman. He's a great Superman, but he is not Superman.
Right.
Things can come along and kick his ass, and that's all right.
Honestly, it really did give me the animated series feel, like I was watching an old episode of Justice League.
Like I was thinking like all the Max Fleischer films, those, because he had, they just had that really battling rays and struggling against opponents, rather than just flying into it with a grin on his face,
Right. And honestly, it was good. I give it a solid 8. I wouldn't say it's better than Man of Steel, but I think it's a good step forward for this entire universe that we're going to get.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you saw it, but you really need to get on the stick and see Fantastic Four.
I know.
Yes.
I'm behind.
And if you're lucky, you want to go see Weapons too, which is another film I would highly recommend.
I love that movie. Let's start with Fantastic Four. Obviously, you guys know more about the history. I was pumped to see what I thought was going to be Silver Surfer. Is it not the Silver Surfer?
Yeah, it's
is.
canon Silver Surfer. It's just not the Silver Surfer we're normally used to seeing.
Well, it seemed like they
Silver
were going to set up.
had an extended background from his planet, and there were other Silver Surfers. So this is one of the Silver Surfers,
which seems like that they're going to set up another side with that one.
I think they can do that, and I would like to see more of an expanded. So that didn't really bother me.
But once I saw the face of her, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
like,
she's in everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was pumped.
Julia, what is her name?
Natasha?
No, not Natasha Leon. And Natasha Leon's a redhead that was flirting with.
Oh yes, that was the one that surprised me too.
Yeah,
there's been so many.
Flirting with
Julia Garner.
The cast
Julia
of
Garner,
Fantastic Four was incredible. I thought. Not only that, but the one of the Fantastic Four, which I was telling him from Stranger Things, Eddie Munson. I was like, how do I know this kid? So I spent the first hour trying to knock my head into who the hell is that.
The minute I see an actor's face and I can recognize it as like, oh, I know exactly who you are.
90% of the time I do, and I'll say it in my family. Oh, I know that guy.
The thing about the Fantastic Four that I really, really, really liked, that really grabbed my heart and made me love this as a comic book movie, was Galactus.
Yes,
and Galactus was awesome. Now let me ask you: did you see this in IMAX?
Yes.
Okay, you saw it. That's what I'm trying to convince our young friend.
No, actually, we saw it in 3D.
Oh, you saw it in 3D?
Yeah.
Okay. If you see it in IMAX, it's interesting because anytime Galactus comes on the screen, especially in full shots, the aspect ratio of the theater changes. The screen changes, so it'll show his gigantism. And I was impressed with that. I mean, there were times I caught my mouth being open just watching Galactus, who is... that was the he's a fine actor too, and his name escapes me, but he was the dude that was the Imp's bodyguard for a long time in Game of Thrones. That actor, if you remember who he was, and who eventually betrays the Imp. But anyway, they did a lot of that practical, and
Ralph
thought, yes, and the Galactus was just remarkable. He was a really good Marvel villain made whole, and I cannot wait to see him in Secret Wars, because if they even hold at least a little bit of the hand of comic of Secret Wars and go into this, it seems like it's going to be this big multiverse event, which Secret Wars was not. But if they hold on to a little bit of it, Galactus was key to that entire storyline. And so I'm really, really looking forward. And key in the fact that Doctor Doom was attempting to steal all of Galacticus' power during that fight. He was less interested in combating the superheroes that were on Battleworld and more interested in overtaking Galactus at that time. Well, we've got this build up for Doctor Doom. We've now got Galactus introduced. That, a good villain square off in a movie. We see the heroes fight all the time, but to see a couple of good, honest to God, Marvel villains square off in the movie.
Yeah, you never really see that happen.
Drool.
Well, and that's my first question when it comes to this, because Marvel has since come out and talked about this entire next generation of movies and where they're going and how they gave up on the Kang thing and why they gave up on the Kang thing. Because now Jonathan Majors has kind of getting his footing back as an actor, luckily, because of all of this stuff being swept away. And Disney came out and said, or at least the leader of Feige came out and said that they were already planning on moving on just because Kang wasn't a big enough character.
And see, I think they probably drew that conclusion somewhere in around the time that Jonathan Majors was having his issues.
Exactly.
Because
which made it look a lot worse, because it made it look like they were getting rid of him because of the lawsuit and all of that type of
I
stuff.
will paraphrase the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and I will paraphrase that movie and say, when you say Kang the Conqueror, people go, huh? What?
Yeah.
You say Dr. Doom, and you got a line out the door on the 4th of July for that film. And that's why it changed. Nobody knows who the hell Kang the Conqueror is, except for real comic book fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, he's not even in league with like Thanos.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that's was going to be my question. Do you think they kind of messed up by waiting that long and trying to go Kang first rather than just saying we're going to go straight into Doctor Doom?
They were
going
flush. Disney and Marvel were flush with success after everything that had happened leading up to and including Infinity Wars and Endgame, and they pulled it off. And being flush with success, they threw stuff up against the wall after that just didn't even stick, like the Invasion, the Secret Invasion series, which is the single worst thing that Marvel has ever put out, and a couple of other the Iron Man 3
all the 93 and 2000s movies too.
What do you mean?
Are we counting those, like the Daredevil and the old Punisher movies?
No. I'm talking about I'm just saying that when they were flush with success, it seemed like they lost control of the reins, and now they're getting it back into control again. It seems like this storyline is going to start whittling down, because we've got Spider-Man coming out, which is not going to be a Doctor Doom or a Secret War story, but it's going to have elements of that are going to play into those movies, just like everything sort of maybe kind of had a little bit of a hand in moving everything forward in the Infinity Stones long storyline.
Is that where we're
going to see this going up, huh?
Is this where we see a Spider Girl?
Are we talking about Spider-Gwen, or which one are you referring to?
No, I don't.
The one they keep pumping up with the girl from Stranger Things. I know there's a ton of different Spider movies coming out, so I didn't know which one is which.
That's right.
Oh,
no. She, from what I understand, and we're talking about the redhead, and I can't remember her name right now. And actually, I'm looking. I don't know why I'm not looking at it. I'm looking at the cast right now, because the other one that I'm hearing is Joe Keery might be coming in to play Harry Osborn.
Yeah, I've seen that rumor too.
So the Steven from Stranger Things might be in on this too. Sadie Sink. Sadie Sink is supposed to be a brand new character that's not even in the comics. Like, it's not even supposed to be a thing.
It was really rumored for a long time that Anna Taylor-Joy was going to play Black Cat.
Right.
And that hasn't appeared on the official casting yet. So we'll see when it plays out. I mean, they're filming right now. A lot of it'll end up coming out as things go. But the point is that I think they've reined it in, and now they're moving towards this new big point, which is going to end up being Secret Wars, and probably Secret Wars Part 2.
Right.
And But first, we're going to get, Avengers Doomsday, which
And
is going to be a big one. So
How do we feel about Pedro Pascal stepping in to be the new face of the Avengers? Because that's essentially what we're going to get. Because he's already the face of everything else.
Maybe. I think they would be better off, in my opinion. Benedict Cumberbatch at one time said he was just like Chris Helmsworth, and he said, I'll do as many of these movies as they want me to make,
Right.
Which is fantastic because I think he's a great Doctor Strange. They're already working on the next Doctor Strange movie, which is going to work into all of this, and I would like to see him be the leader in the face of the Avengers.
I get that, and I agree with you. To be honest with you, I'd rather see Tom Holland be the face of the Avengers going forward, but I'm a Spider-Man fan.
Oh, I'm a
But
Spider-Man fan too.
we're
But Spider-Man's never
talking
been
about
a leader.
The internet's daddy. We're talking about Pedro Pascal. Disney's not going to exactly not have
love
him
that.
as the face.
Oh, he's going to be featured prominently. I mean, he's ahead of the Fantastic Four, for the love of God. So I mean,
That's what I'm saying. So he's
so
going to
it's
be
gonna
coming in
happen.
as the new Robert Downey Jr., wouldn't you think?
Maybe.
Like
We'll
I could
see. We'll
I
see.
could honestly see them doing a tandem of a Robert Downey Jr. and a Chris Evans thing with him and Cumberbatch, which would honestly be pretty interesting going forward.
But the thing that I'm really interested in seeing is how Spider-Man and the Punisher are going to try to subdue a new Savage Hulk.
Yes.
That
is going to be
has the hairs on the back of my neck just standing on end, just so I can know what I am.
Well, just speaking of recent movies that came out, Weapons came out last week, which I was in line. I saw that Sunday with the family. I didn't really have big expectations because I didn't really know the story. I knew the trailer,
I
but
don't think anybody knew the story.
No,
But
they
it
kept it
it
nice
was a
and secret.
great movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And
What surprised you most about Weapons? What surprised you about that movie?
I liked how they break into different stories within that same couple days. But the surprise was once I saw the old lady at the graveyard, I was like, okay, something's going on with this
I
chick.
think for me, the surprise was how funny the movie was.
Yes.
And the thing is, they're advertising this new horror film and all of that. And that's fair. And it's a horror film. But I think a lot of people go into a movie like that thinking they're going to get The Exorcist, where everything is as grim from moment one as it is to moment zero. And this has a lot of humor in it, especially with the police officer who just can't get his job right. And that's our Han Solo. That's the dude that played Han Solo in the Solo
Which
movie.
we will
the-
never, unfortunately, see again.
And
the ex
so,
beating her up in the liquor store, which is
dude,
hilarious.
and
Solo.
and his phobia of needles and everything else. It's just fantastic. So yeah, Weapons is a really good movie. Amy Madigan, who was never featured in anything. I didn't even realize she was in the movie until she appeared like halfway through the film. Is going to get an Oscar nomination for this film. You watch.
You think so?
Yeah, she's going to get a Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination out of
So-
this, and I say more than deserved because she is one of the creepiest things I've seen in a film.
And
in a
then
long
I sent
time.
you the story. They're
Wow.
going to do a prequel type story to base on that aunt. But it was Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner.
I mean, she's popping up everywhere. Ever since I watched Ozark, I'm seeing
Julia
her
Garner.
Yeah.
Julia
everywhere.
Garner, not Jennifer
Yeah.
Garner.
I'm seeing her
Julia
everywhere.
Garner,
Not only
Julia
that,
Garner.
but yeah, the
Sideshow Bob is here.
Sideshow Bob.
Sorry. I'm sorry. JR walked in with his hair out, and it's too easy.
I love the fact
So okay,
that he's
hold
growing
on.
that hair.
Before I gotta stop both of you because we're talking about this movie as if everybody on the radio knows what the hell we're talking
Well,
about.
we can't give away a lot. There is a creepy aunt, and
Well, I understand, but Julia Garner is the star of this movie, who is a teacher who had an entire class just disappear right out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
well,
Yes.
one kid shows up.
One kid.
The rest of the class is
But
gone.
yeah, the rest of the class. So it's like what, 37 kids or 17 kids or something.
And
like
all
that.
of the parents are up in arms about it, obviously thinking that Julia
Dude,
Garner's
the
character
thing
is the
is,
reason for that.
That bothered me. That was one of the things of the visuals of the movie that really bothered me when they were explaining what happened, because you don't really get to see it happen. It's explained, and then you see it through the eyes of different parents of explaining how the children just woke up at 2:17. They knew it was 2:17 because some of the houses had alarms that were tripped at that time as the front doors were open.
Mhm.
So that's the only reason they knew it was 2:17. Didn't wake up anybody in the house, and then they just boogie on down the street
In that
into the
goofy run.
darkness in that goofy run where they got their arms next to their
It's
sides.
called the Naruto
which is
run.
really
Get cultured.
Which is when they're showing the ring camera like you see a lot of that now. I think that's very effective to use something that's so prevalent in society, ring cameras and security cameras.
That's why I love.
And
the
it's
horror
seeing these
movies
ring
that do
cameras
that.
of these kids just busting these doors open and just running into the night. And you got to think of, I don't have that feeling because I never made the mistake of having children. But for those of you that did make that mistake and you have these little things that you care about, that's got to be horrifying, right? I mean, that's just got to be horrifying that your little offspring just goes nuts and goes running off into the night, right?
At the witching hour.
Oh, I'm
people
sorry.
are-
Was I out of line?
Again, it's the Naruto run. Get cultured.
I don't
But
know
no,
what that means.
I
but
agree with you because it is something, or when it comes to using stuff that's within society today, because a lot of the best horror movies, in my opinion, that have been slept on have been a lot of the ones that have been done through like cell phone media. Or have you seen I think it's called Unfriended, where they did the entire movie through essentially a web screen like you're looking at us on right now on YouTube. And they are so cleverly done.
Let me take that point. That reminded me. I wasn't planning on reviewing this, but I will. And it's not just jumping on and stomping it into the ground, but I think you've seen that. But Ice Cube has that new. No, Ice T has the new War of the Worlds film. Have either of you tried to watch? Is it Ice Cube?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ice Cube.
Okay. So have you seen? Have either of you watched this movie?
No.
I watched it the day it came out. I'm a big War of the Worlds fan.
Right.
I love the book, at least one of the movies. But boy, that is a catastrophe.
Really?
That is a film that's going to go down as one of the worst movies ever made.
That's what I'm hearing right now. It's got a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. What is it about this movie that's so
It's
bad?
poorly made. It's just the concept was okay. So basically the concept is, and we were talking about modern society, is a guy who monitors security cameras, and he's very good at it. That's his job somehow, is that he monitors telephone security, and he's got a banks of computers that help him with this. And he starts to see the invasion unfold through the cameras.
Yeah.
In other words, he's picking up feeds from London. He's picking up feeds from New Delhi. He's picking up feeds from Hawaii. He's picking up feeds from Moscow. And he's starting to see what's happening worldwide. And then that integrates to, how he's trying to help his family through the whole thing. Boy, is that like I said, the concept, solid. I had no problems with that.
But the approach
But
and
the
how they did
approach
it.
was really
That's
bad.
unfortunate.
Real bad. Things like he'll throw his glasses off and throw them across the room, and then they'll cut to him looking at the screen, and then he's looking at the screen again, and his glasses are on. I mean, those are just small things, but on top of the fact that nobody in the movie seemed to be able to act, including Eva Longoria, who I don't understand her being in movies at all. She blinks real good, but beyond that, I don't get what the talent is.
I say the same thing about Keanu Reeves, but I get a lot of hate for it.
Love Keanu Reeves.
He's a great person outside the movies, but there's reasons why he doesn't talk as much in John Wick, and I just think he's a horrible actor. That's just my opinion.
Whoa.
Hey,
That's
what?
what I'm saying, man. He doesn't understand Bill and Ted's excellent
I
adventure.
grew up with Bill and
He
Ted.
doesn't get-
But that's as far as the acting went. You saw that movie.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
The government is going to pay me to surf.
But is there any movies you're looking forward to? Obviously, with Nobody 2 coming out this week. I'm looking forward to Tron.
Tron is going to be great.
Something else that just came out was on video on FX was the new Alien Earth series, and I watched the first 2 episodes of that.
Okay, where does this fit in the story?
Okay,
I've heard multiple answers.
I
to this
don't
question.
really. I'm not going to say it's. I don't think it's as gushingly wonderful as most of the reviews that are coming out of it. I liked it. The timeline is evidently set a couple of years before the Nostromo ever leaves orbit.
Okay, so it's before the first movie ever
I think
takes
so.
place.
Now, there's controversy in that because evidently one of the producers is saying no, but this is how supposedly this is a new interpretation of it, how the main company, the Whalen Institute and all that, came to be introduced to the alien species. They were actually caught by another company, or no, Whalen captured these aliens. My fault. Captured these aliens with a special crew. It was a scientific vessel they sent out, and they actually were able to get specimens, contain them. That didn't last.
Naturally.
And as the ship returned to Earth, it lost complete control, and the only person on board that was quote unquote alive was the ship's android.
Naturally.
And he can't control anything. He just braced for impact. So this huge spaceship comes back to Earth. It crashes on an island that's owned by a different corporation that's a competitor of the Weyland Corporation. They develop the robots. They develop the synthetic human beings, and they're experimenting with a whole new, brand new development in AI. And you'll have to see what that is in order to see what that. I don't want to give it all away. But basically, so this huge ship crashes. It crashes in the middle of the city, which is a makeshift city that built to support that corporation and their secret little developments of AI and all that stuff. And right now, the first 2 episodes have been, let's go into the spaceship and see, search and rescue, even though there are some people that know there's a little bit more than search and rescue going on. And they send these crews in to try to, which is in the middle of these, like, very much 9/11 like burned out buildings and this massive spaceship that's got damage all over the place. And now you've got specimens that are breaking out, which we see the xenomorph. Obviously, they make no bones about that. You see it real early, but there are other versions. I don't know if they're the same species. I don't think they are, but they have captured other species, which are also fairly invasive and don't take kindly to people being around. So they're trying to mop this situation up and not let it spread. So that's the basics of if you're asking why don't people on Earth know about the aliens and why didn't aliens take over Earth, we're seeing that. I think what we're seeing is a case of spilled milk in terms of aliens and these several different corporations now, one, to get their hands on anything that's useful, and number 2, to contain it, are rushing in to stop this spread of aliens on Earth.
Sounds like we need to call Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Predators. But
I'm telling you, it's worth watching. Timothy Oliphant
seems like it. I'm confused about where this fits in the storyline. I'm a massive fan of the Alien franchise, and knowing where all of this starts with the Prometheus movie, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't. And but then again, Prometheus doesn't make a lot of sense when you stack it next to Alien versus Predator or Alien versus Predator.
Well, I kind of separate those. The AVP movies I separate from the rest of the Alien.
And then
franchise.
where does but why?
I know. It's more of a cop-out.
You know what I
for
mean?
me.
Absolutely.
It's more of a cop-out for me.
And it's
because you're right. Well, technically AVP 2 would be this show.
And how about if you're going to include that, then you have to include all the Predator movies, because you have to say that's all part of the same universe, which nobody knows if it is or not. It's one of those things like what was happening with Marvel after their success. Things went wild, and they were just handing out contracts to any kind of writer or director that could come up with anything that they thought was fresh or original. Well, canon be damned, and they did that. And I think that is a huge mistake. And now you got people questioning this, which is one of the questions of the series. And I agree with you. If you're trying to follow what the overall story arc was, where does this happen? And why did it happen this way? Why, after you have a research vessel bring something back, would you purposely redirect a crew of essentially space miners to go dig up an alien species? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
And the most recent movies teach us that there's been multiple variants of the xenomorphs and different types, like animals and stuff like that. So I mean,
it morphs according to what it goes into. Absolutely.
Regardless, though, that's all neither here nor there. But before we let you go, because I do have to mention this as well, since we mentioned the Predator movies, those have been hitting grand slams in terms of how good these have been lately since the merger with Fox and Disney.
You're talking about Prey, and then
Prey, the animated one that they released
I didn't
on
see
Hulu,
the animated
is
one.
fantastic.
Prey was better than I thought it would be.
The one that's coming out, Badlands, looks really good, where it's based all around following a predator itself becoming like this head leader of the group.
Sure.
It's gonna be, I think these are gonna be fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, by the way, to talk about first, because by the time we come back next month, when we bring you back in, we'll be able to talk. Hopefully Tron Nobody 2 comes out this weekend. Yep. I'm looking forward to season 2 of Peacemaker. I finally finished.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Pumped. And
And
we
I
did
heard
get
you-
a listener text in before you go. It says, it's great to hear Hop on the air again. I know you guys are talking movies, but before he goes, I just hope you can tell him thank you for giving my Padres the best 2 Oriole players.
Oh man, I did think about you during trade deadline, man. At this point, too, I hear Philly's looking at Adelaide.
Hey, it's football season. Hey, speaking of football season, Hard Knocks this year. I know you're not watching, but boy, does it suck, right?
Yes.
God, it's awful, man. It's an awful season.
Well, again, remember this was a makeshift season. It was supposed to be Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels before all this.
But
really
as I was listening, I was coming in and I heard you talk about how bad it is, and it's basically the Josh Allen show and putting toddlers in dangerous cars and skidding them around tracks, which was really cool. I love when people put little tiny kids in danger. But anyway, the point is they desperately want Haley Seinfeld on.
Oh, 110%, because you have nothing else on the Buffalo team.
I mean, they
outside of
showed
Josh
enough
Allen.
pictures of her. It was like, yes,
not
we're
even-
all very aware that they're married.
They're not even using DeMar Hamlin, the guy who almost died 2 years ago.
I know.
That's how dry this team is in terms of storylines.
Oh, they're
It's
going to
really
pump up.
bad.
You got a big back tattoo piece yesterday that they're already talking about for the next
Great.
episode. Yippee!
What, like a Steve-O kind of thing?
Screw the Bills. Anyways, we love you, Hop. Thanks
Love
for
you guys
joining
too.
us.
I appreciate you asking me back. as
And
usual.
hopefully by next month you'll be able to join us in our new studio in the basement at Woolworths. So we'll be able to get a milkshake afterwards.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
110%.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds
Labor
good to
Day
me.
week is
There's
the
a
official
really
week.
cool new toy shop around the corner from there.
Yes,
too.
I
Have you
hit it
seen that?
all the time.
Yeah, do you really?
Yes.
I just discovered it yesterday.
The corner on 19th.
Yeah, 19th
Oh, yes.
and L. Yeah.
Yes. Check it out if you're a big collector. We've got plenty to talk about. We love you, Hop. We'll talk to you very soon right
Love you
here
guys.
on
Peace
the
out.
Early Bird Special. Big shout out to our boy Hop taking time out to join us. It's always a good time. And I appreciate all the texts we'll get to him in the last segment. We'll get a winner of these Bakersfield Brunch Fest tickets.
Absolutely. Before we got to get to some baseball news and some basketball news. Baseball wise, the Milwaukee Brewers are on a tear. Again, like I said yesterday, I'm not really surprised. They're one of the better regular season teams in baseball, usually are. I was actually very surprised the Chicago Cubs were leading the Central for so long this year. But their fan base can't be happier because they get free hamburgers.
Yes, free burgers.
Free burgers for 12-game streak. For those of you who have not been paying attention to baseball this year, there is a burger joint out in Milwaukee. The name escapes me, but the local owner, George Webb, put out something on their social media that said at any point in time during the season, if the Milwaukee Brewers broke or sustained a 12-game win streak, free burgers for everybody that's a Milwaukee Brewers fan. That's a pretty cool deal.
The whole city.
You know, I love when people like this do this. I love guys like George Webb who want to give back to the community, who are fans of their team, because like situations like Mattress Mike with the Astros, as much as we hate the Astros, the entire thing with Mattress Mike is always fun. The fact that, hey, if we win the World Series, if we win the Super Bowl, free mattresses for everybody. That's awesome. That's really cool because obviously he's putting down a massive freaking bet and he doesn't have to pay for his store this year.
Cover it.
So he's going to help you guys out as well. Like, that's pretty cool. I love when
he was on Unsportsmanlike this morning and said the big announcement will come out this afternoon.
Of course.
On where and when you can get these burgers. But congratulations. I mean, that 12-game win is
and this is a back-to-back thing because they had an 11-game win streak before Sparky Seattle Mariners busted that open with a 1-0 win. And now they've been able to bounce back and do it again. It's a fantastic season for the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, I still say it's going to come to unconventional loss.
We'll see. Ohtani pitched against his former team for the first time yesterday.
And the Angels won.
Yes. 6-0 on the season against the Dodgers.
What is going on, boys? What is 2-2? I have a friend who she posts only one time during the baseball season. She is a diehard Angels fan. I will give her this. But she posts at one point in time, and that's when the Angels beat up on the Dodgers. That's it. I never see her post at any point in time about the Angels. There's not a whole ton to be happy about, I realize. But 6-0 against the Dodgers this year, a team that everybody was talking about coming into this season being the best team ever created in baseball, now is looking underneath the San Diego Padres back a game.
Which they're going to play, I believe, starting tomorrow.
Yes.
I believe the series starts with them tomorrow.
They have
Friday,
a few games
Saturday.
with them. I think it's like 6 games in the next 12 to 13 days. So there is you asked me yesterday, and this is why I believe if you're a Dodger fan, I hit the panic button after this weekend if you lose this series. Because if you go down 3 games to the Padres and you have to play them again in a matter of a week,
Ohtani did have his season high 80 pitches, struck out Trout twice.
Finally pitched into the 5th inning.
Which would have helped if they would have pulled out the win. But I know Dodger fans are texting because I've got a few of them. I mean, are you guys panicking yet? Or is it kind of like what Burdick said? Get past the Padres and win the series and
I don't give
back
a dang.
to normal? Or
looks to me that the championship going through Philly because we got an MVP candidate and two Cy Young candidates, although none of them are going to win, unfortunately, because one of them suffers from not Shohei-itis, and the other 2 suffer from not Paulskinitis. So we're kind of SOL in that nature. But to have 2 Cy Young finalists, 2, I think Philly's sitting pretty dang good.
We'll see. We'll see. We got another month and a half.
Roughly. Yeah. I mean, we're sitting pretty, though. I mean, Philadelphia holding a 5-game lead over the Mets. Hopefully that stays that way. Milwaukee absolutely dominating the Central now with a 7.5 game lead over the Cubs. As we said earlier, the Padres holding a 1-game lead in the West. On the other side, Houston holding a 1-game lead over Sparky's Seattle team. Detroit holding a 6.5 lead. And thank God they've been able to figure this out in the last 10 because they went on a massive skid too after the All-Star break. They have since returned to at least 500 baseball. So we're looking at a 70-52 record right now with a 6.5 lead over the Cleveland Guardians. And then the East is being dominated by Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays as they hold a 4.5 game lead over the wild card leading Red Sox. It's going to be an interesting playoff run. I like the teams that are in right now. I like the fact that there's going to be a lot of competitive nature going into this.
In this last month, it's going to be intense.
I think so. And there are still a handful of teams that I would not shy away from just yet. Chicago, the Cubs. I think if they can get hot, they'd be a really, really good team going in. Your Seattle Mariners, I think, have made plenty of moves and are one of those dangerous teams as well. I know I keep talking about Philadelphia, but there's always the chance that one of these wild card teams turns it around and becomes that team to bust everybody's bracket.
And
That's what we love about baseball.
some side NBA news that happened yesterday. The NBA's Board of Governors has unanimously approved the sale of the Boston Celtics for $6.1 billion. And the Carolina Hurricanes owner has reached an agreement to purchase the Portland Trailblazers from the Paul Allen estate for just over $4 billion. And I know there was some nervousness with fans thinking they were going to relocate the team.
Yep.
And they did come out yesterday and said the Blazers are staying in Portland. And so that's some good news for Blazer fans.
As they should. I don't think any team needs to be moving from that area. We'll be most likely adding a team to that area here in the next couple years, I would say, because I genuinely believe Seattle is probably on the way back.
Seattle and Vegas.
I think those are the top two locations for the NBA at this point. And I am happy to hear that they're not going anywhere out of Portland. When I heard the Carolina owner was the one who bought them, I was really worried for a second, thinking, oh, Lord. Because, I mean, Carolina basketball,
Carolina Blazers.
I know we have the Charlotte Hornets and stuff like that, but they would not be opposed to a second team down there, I'm sure. Maybe a South Carolina team too. But it is one of those situations where you really have to take that into consideration. I'm glad to hear that Tom Dundon is not moving the team. And with Dame coming back this year, I think you're going to have a lot of fans packing that stadium. So that $4 billion price tag that you just paid, as we've seen with every other sports organization in the last decade, 2 decades, that's going to easily double to triple by the time he's ready to sell this thing.
Well, we will take our final break. We'll go over your text. We'll find a winner. So you got 3 minutes to text in your favorite movie of the year. Text it in right now, 661-842-2000. And we'll wrap up the show. We'll preview our Fantasy Friday show right after this break. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
We'll throw out some love to Kofi.
His birthday?
His birthday today. 44 years old.
You should have given us.
No,
You don't want to. Come on, the
No.
Jamaican song.
oh,
Come on, that's what he was. That's what I
no.
remember. Funniest moment in WWE history to me is when the Jamaican accent and Triple H calls him out for it in the middle of the ring. It was fantastic.
Some of our text this morning, which is before we get into the movie ones, I have to read these ones for you real quick. Please hold. All right. So it says you guys cover sports, entertainment, wrestling, money. I think you all need a video game segment. And
Oh,
I know a
1000%.
guy. So I told him to hit me up on the Instagram
Please.
and we can talk. We've definitely, it's been on the list of things we want to cover.
Trust me, if there's anything that I do besides watch sports, it's play video games. I'm an introvert at heart. I really am. When I get sucked into a game too, good luck getting me to come out. It's that bad.
The other text says nobody with a brain said the Dodgers was the greatest team ever made.
Whoa, that's not true. That is not true at all. Sparky, when we first started this show, what was the first thing everybody was talking about?
It's the best.
It's the best team ever put together. You guys were going to go undefeated. I knew Dodgers. You guys got such short memories when it comes to this stuff, man.
Well, you replied back with the title goes to the 1927 Yankees Murder Row, long list of Hall of Famers.
That's true. That's fair.
When we get into the best movies of the year, we've got Sinners, which is up there for me. The Fantastic Four.
Still have yet to see it, but I've heard great things.
F1.
Okay, I've heard really good things about this movie
another
as
great
well.
movie.
And I love the guy who plays Franklin and oh God, I can't remember his actual name. He's the younger driver in this movie to Brad Pitt's older
the one that's
driver.
on his team.
Yeah, he is a fantastic actor. I really need to go check that movie out, but I've heard very good things as well. Is there anything else?
Says the Alien Earth was really good. You guys got to watch that.
I'm skeptical as a fan, or not skeptical of the show. I'm sure it's fantastic. Anything with the xenomorph in it, it's always fun. But when you just change up the storyline, or at least the timeline like this, and start to make it weird, it's hard to follow sometimes for me. I don't know. It's just me. I like to think these franchises are all one big story.
I love the Aliens movies, so I haven't had time, but it's definitely on my list. The next one says, I really want to see the Him movie when it comes out. It looks interesting.
It looks so good. And honestly, I saw the trailer you were talking about, Sparky.
The
that
long
goes
one?
deeper.
Yeah.
The scene where he's taking footballs off the face.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
That's why it reminds me of like 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, that just unsettling feeling you get from watching this. And I think this movie is going to be one giant love letter to concussions,
to CTE
and concussions. I think that's exactly what he's trying to map with
the
this.
More it comes out with more footage, the crazier it gets.
I think the end of this, I know everyone's seen the poster of him standing out there like this, like he's bloodied up and the cheerleaders all lined up without faces. I think that's going to be your closing shot, but something really bad is going to have happened.
The last one says, is there going to be a standalone Incredible Hulk movie?
No, most likely will not have that for a long time, and that's because of contract issues within the deals with Fox and all these other things. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of these characters were sold back in the 90s, 80s when Marvel was about to go bankrupt so they could keep themselves alive. And that's when you really started getting these Tobey Maguire movies, the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, and all these really bad superhero movies from back in the 90s and 2000s. And now that Disney has started making money, they're starting to buy all these characters back. That's why it took so long for us to get a Fantastic Four movie. That's why it's taking so long to get an X-Men movie. Incredible Hulk has been one of those characters that's been in the weird gray area, because a lot of these deals were done based on use of the copyright content. So if certain companies, like the reason Sony can still make Venom movies and all of these Spider-Man bad guy movies is because they technically still have ownership of them. And as long as they use that product, they still own it. So they have to use it over a certain amount of time. Otherwise, they have to forfeit that ownership back to Disney. So that's why you're probably never going to, I wouldn't say never, but at least not for a while, going to get a standalone movie.
I've seen a lot of teas that they were wanting to do the Incredible Hulk with She-Hulk. And another question that came in, I should have asked when Hop was here, but with the resurgence of Fantastic Four, are they going to remake all these X-Men movies and kind of mold them all back together?
Remake, no. I think they're going to start over fresh. I think there's going to be a brand new team, although I hate to say it because I love the kids that they grabbed for these last few. They've all really done a great job with the characters. And a real big piece of me hopes that Disney just calls those guys and said, hey, come on back. We're going to give you guys a movie. We're going to make you the team. From what I understand, though, it's going to be a brand new group of actors that are all going to be playing the characters in their own way, which probably will end up being better, to be honest with you. So I'm not 100% sure when we are going to get that, but it's coming sooner rather than later. I can promise you that.
We got a jam-packed show tomorrow. We'll get back into our Fantasy Friday, where this week we're going over running backs. And I think we came up with, 12 running backs?
We're going to give you guys
with 3 sleepers.
Top 12 with 3 sleepers for your season this year. Honestly, the running back position is going to be a little tricky. It usually is, because this is the position that usually makes or breaks your team.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get 2 of these top 12 guys on your team, especially early in a draft, traditionally, barring injuries, you usually make the playoffs in fantasy football.
Oh, yeah.
So
running backs have always been a key port, especially when you're playing in a 12-team league with PPR. Like if you miss a running back, a core running back, you're really like hoping that your quarterback and your 3 wide receivers are enough, but usually it's the running backs that that drive that team into the playoffs and championships. But one thing, and we'll have Chris Flail, he'll join us at 8:00 tomorrow. So we'll be able to get into our Fantasy Friday a bit earlier tomorrow on your drive to work. But something I wanted to bring up at the last couple minutes is this World Humanoid Robot Games, which the ceremony took place this morning in Beijing, and it is taking place tomorrow through the 17th.
Nerds!
So my number one thing as a nerd, I wanted to see, okay, well, this is kind of like almost like a robot Olympics. What are we gonna see with these robots? So I had to pull and see, okay, well, what is this, 19 core events that will take place during the 3-day games. One is the athletic competitions, which will have 11 events, including track and field, 100, 400, 1500. They'll have a standing alone, long jump, high jump, gymnastics, but they'll also be doing some solo and group robot dances, which watch out for your social media. I'm sure you'll see them all over the place. And then lastly, where the robots will demonstrate real-world applications in industrial, hospital, and hotel settings.
Again, I am one of those people that's kind of old school when it comes to this type of stuff, man. We don't need a robot for everything. We don't. I'm sorry. We'll get into this a little bit more tomorrow when we can actually figure out how these things are made. Plus, I want to get into this Michael Porter Jr. story as well. He was on a podcast and started talking about how betting is ruining a lot of the integrity and enjoyment of the game. Well, go talk to your little brother, bruh. Saying he's the biggest proponent here the last couple of years. So
we'll have gambling, robots, comedy, and fantasy football.
Yeah, we'll have plenty for you tomorrow. It's going to be a great show. Join us 7 to 9 as always. And follow us on all social media as well. We're all over the place. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There's be reels coming out more and more, I promise. We have plenty more for you. Just join us back here tomorrow. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen or whoever's filling in today. You had the Miz yesterday. We're out of here.